everybody, John Felt here, and this is the Blue Water Outlook weekly weather briefing for April 2nd. You know, we had a really busy week, the last couple weeks actually, with spring storms, 3 weeks in a row, and last week was no exception with a very powerful storm, unfortunately several dozen severe storm-related fatalities. You can see here on Friday, here's the spring storm. This was the outlook from the Storm Prediction Center, and you can see where the reports fell. So I guess unfortunately it worked out as forecast. These are the tornado reports, and we had snow, we had high winds. We're seeing high winds from the south ahead of these systems and high winds from the north behind it. So we're going to continue this very tight temperature gradient I'm going to show you here, and then eventually get into some more stable air. So that's one of the things I want to talk about in today's briefing. So here was the precipitation last week right here, and you can see the very heavy rain we had over the southeast. We had some heavy rain again over the west, not quite as much over the southwest. And here's a band of snow. And one of the things I wanted to show you, see these little streaks here? These streaks are individual thunderstorm tracks, and that's a sign of spring. We begin to see more localized rain and not as much widespread synoptic type rain. So that's one of the things that we want to look at. Even though we can have really strong storms and local heavy rain, it's not widespread. So we're looking at, for example, a basin scale, the impact on rivers takes a lot more. Plus we have the green up going. So that's something I probably need to put a post on, sort of an update on spring. Here's our snow last week. We added some snow here, and we still have a lot of snow in the upper Mississippi. And though the temperatures at Minneapolis, the high temperature now is near 50 and the lows even above 32. So even with below normal temperatures, we are probably going to be melting the snow, and could be fairly quickly. We're going to have some rain on snow this week, and you can already see this orange is where we have active melting. Now, I did put out a post this past week that told you that I do expect most of the snow to be gone in a couple weeks. So we are going to see a pulse of water coming down the upper Mississippi and parts of the Missouri. Now, here's the river situation. Here are current high flows, and here are current low flows. They sort of correspond with the atmospheric rivers over California and the heavy rain over parts of the Midwest. I do think that's going to be a little bit more active on the upper Mississippi in the next couple weeks, and probably the lower Mississippi as well. As far as temperatures go, last week, the departure from normal, you can see we had that temperature contrast, and as long as we have that big temperature contrast, the winter storms, spring storms, we've had these for a number of weeks, are moving right up along the seam between these two air mass contrasts. So once we break that down, things will probably quiet down a bit. So, and I do expect that. What we have here is right now, we have a ridging or pushing north of the jet stream over the southeast, and we have a dip in the jet stream in the west. Very much contrast in temperature. Matter of fact, record contrast this week. But by the end of the week, it looks like we sort of break that ridge down, and we have a sagging to the south of the jet stream. I think that's going to equalize that a bit. Now, you're not seeing it in the next 5 days, and we still have these big temperature contrasts. Matter of fact, by Wednesday here, temperatures 10 to 20 to 30 degrees below seasonal normals in the parts of the upper Midwest high plains and the southeast and parts of the eastern U.S. Temperatures 10 to 20 degrees above normal. There's that front and the winter storm that's passing through. That means record cold temperatures in the west early in the week and record mild temperatures in the east. Now, the second 5 days here, you can see we really reverse things. Remember how the west was cold? Well, we begin to bring some warm weather in the west, but most of the central and east now experience below normal temperatures. So with the transition, hey, look at this, a quiet week across California. The transition is going to be a winter storm, and that is going to bring a blizzard to parts of the plains and heavy rain in the south central U.S. And you can see that winter type weather in the upper Midwest and a line of severe storms trailing. So we take a look at some of the impacts here as far as snow goes. This is going to be a very, very significant major blizzard with major impacts, actually extreme impacts. All winter long, I haven't seen much of this. This highest level of winter weather impact. So it's very significant, over a foot of snow, high winds, very cold temperatures. So very significant. Now this is actually in April where the heaviest snow falls in these dots here. So some of these areas, the Rockies and the Western Plains, we do get some of the heaviest snow falls this time of year. But even that said, this is going to be a really significant blizzard. And the extended outlook here, remember I mentioned how it's going to become more stable? Well, it looks like where we had all the action in the last 2 or 3 weeks, it looks like a cooler and drier air mass. Now I want to point this out. Remember that snowpack up here that I've talked about forever? Cooler than normal temperatures, but not excessively so, and dry. What does that mean? That's the perfect situation for melting some of the snow without putting additional rain on it, and that's that managed melt. So that's good. That's what we want to see. Get the water into the river without adding extra rain or snow, and doing it in a fashion that we could be refreezing at night, or at least slowing that down. We still will have some rises on the river even with that scenario. So we are going to have a number of threats or impacts this week. We're going to have flooding rain in the lower Mississippi, south central U.S. We're going to have blizzard conditions in the north central U.S. And we're going to have severe storms in some of the same areas that we had that last week. We'll see. Last week we had a moderate risk here. We'll see if that is upgraded or even a high risk last week. Right now it's enhanced, but it's still 2 to 3 days off. That could be upgraded. That's your weather briefing for this week. Another action-packed week, weather week, and it does look like maybe quieter conditions the following. Take care.